Dear sleep-bound traveler, what if you could walk through ancient Rome, but not the Rome of crowded forums and gladiatorial games, not the Rome of daylight and chaos. Instead, the Rome that emerges after sunset, when oil lamps flicker in temple courtyards, when moonlight silvers the marble columns of the forum, when the Colosseum stands silent and majestic under countless stars. Tonight, we embark on a very special journey, a journey through time itself. We're traveling back over 2,000 years to the heart of the greatest empire the world has ever known, to a city that has stood for millennia, witnessing the rise and fall of emperors, the building of monuments that still stand today, the daily lives of millions who walked streets that you can still walk. This is a Rome few people imagine, a Rome of peace, of reflection, of beauty, a Rome where the weight of history feels not heavy but comforting, like a blanket woven from 2,000 years of human stories. As we begin, I invite you to settle completely into this moment. Find that perfect position where your body can fully engage and relax. Perhaps adjust your pillow one last time. Take a deep breath through your nose and exhale out your mouth. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Uncurl your toes. Open your hands to place them comfortably on you. Release any tension you might be holding in your jaw, your forehead, and on your neck. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and let it go with a gentle sigh. Again, breathing in the cool night air of ancient Rome and breathing out, releasing the day that's past. One more time. In and out. Beautiful. Tonight we arrive in Rome on a perfect autumn evening in the year 125 AD. Emperor Hadrian rules, bringing peace and prosperity. The empire is at its zenith. The city glows with wealth and culture. And we have the gift of experiencing it all in the peaceful hours after sunset. We'll begin in the Roman Forum as twilight deepens, walking among temples and basilicas where the greatest decisions of the ancient world were made. We'll visit the Pantheon, standing beneath its impossibly perfect dome as stars emerge overhead. We'll luxuriate in the warm waters of the baths of Caracalla, experiencing the Roman ritual of evening bathing. We'll see the Colosseum bathed in moonlight, majestic and serene. We'll climb Palatine Hill to wander through Imperial gardens under the stars. And we'll end our night at the place where three streets meet, at the fountain that has granted wishes for centuries, the Trevi fountain. There's nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do. The modern world has fallen away. We are stepping into history, into peace, into a different way of experiencing time. Let's begin our journey. We arrive in the Roman Forum just as the sun is setting behind the 7 hills of Rome. The sky is transforming, moment by moment, from blue to amber, to rose to lavender. The last light of day catches the tops of columns, making them glow like burnished gold against the deepening sky. The Forum, the political, religious, and commercial heart of Rome. For nearly 1,000 years, this has been the center of the Roman world, the place where senators debated the fate of empires, where citizens gathered to hear news and gossip, where justice was administered and business was conducted, where temples housed the gods who protected Rome. By day, the Forum would be crowded, noisy, and overwhelming. But now, as evening settles, the crowds have dispersed. A few citizens still linger, finishing conversations, walking home through the lengthening shadows. But mostly there is space and quiet and the profound sense of history that seeps from every stone. We enter the forum from the western end, passing beneath the arch of Septimius Severus. This triumphal arch, its white marble beginning to glow pink in the fading light, was built to commemorate military victories in the east. Its reliefs show battle scenes, conquests, the power of Rome made visible. We run our hand along the cool marble as we pass beneath. The stone is smooth, worn by countless hands before ours. 2,000 years from now, people will still touch this stone, will still pass beneath this arch, connecting past and present with their fingertips. Beyond the arch, the forum opens before us. It's a valley between hills, a space that has been built and rebuilt over centuries, layer upon layer of history compressed into the sacred ground. To our left stands the Curia Julia, the Senate House. Its brick facade is simple, almost austere, but what happens inside those walls shapes the entire known world. Right now, as evening falls, the Senate has adjourned. The great bronze doors are closed, but you can almost hear the echo of passionate speeches, of debates that lasted for hours, of decisions that changed the course of human history. We walk toward the center of the forum, our footsteps echoing softly on the stone pavement. The Romans paved this entire space with travertine limestone, creating a vast plaza that could hold tens of thousands of people. Now in the gentle evening light, the pale stones seem to glow from within, as if they've absorbed centuries of sunlight and are slowly releasing it. Ahead of us, rising against the darkening sky, stand the columns of the Temple of Saturn. 8 massive columns, 40 feet tall, supporting what remains of the temple's entablature. This temple is one of the oldest in the forum, dating back to the earliest days of the Republic. It houses the state treasury, the wealth of Rome, literally kept in the vaults beneath the temple. We approach slowly, tilting our heads back to take in the full height of the columns. They're made of gray granite, brought all the way from Egypt, each one a single piece of stone that required unimaginable effort to quarantine and transport. The Romans built to last. They were built for eternity. Between the columns, we can see the first stars beginning to appear in the strip of sky visible above. Venus, the evening star, shines brilliant and steady. The Romans called her Venus, goddess of love and beauty. The Greeks before them called her Aphrodite. For as long as humans have looked up, that bright point of light has been there, watching over cities that rise and fall. The air is cooling noticeably now. We're grateful for the light cloak we're wearing. The scent on the breeze is distinctive. Stone and dust, certainly, but also the smell of olive oil lamps being lit throughout the city. The smoke of countless cooking fires. The green scent from the gardens that fill Rome's courtyards and rooftops. We continued walking, passing the rostra, the speaker's platform where orators addressed the Roman people. Julius Caesar spoke from this platform. So did Cicero, with his gift for words that could move crowds to tears or rage. So did Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, sharing his wisdom with his people. Now it stands empty, its marble steps worn smooth by countless feet. But even empty, even silent, it radiates power. This is where words changed the world, where speech itself was elevated to an art form, where rhetoric could topple governments or establish dynasties. The sky is deepening into twilight now, that magical time when the world shifts from day to night, when colors intensify before fading, when everything feels suspended between two states of being. Oil lamps are being lit around the forum. Temple attendants are lighting the eternal flames that burn before the altars. The flickering light creates dancing shadows, animating the statues that line the forum, making them seem almost alive. We walk toward the Temple of Vesta, the most sacred shrine in Rome. This circular temple, with its ring of white columns, houses the eternal flame of Rome. According to legend, if this flame ever goes out, Rome will fall. The Vestal virgins, priestesses chosen in childhood, tend this flame day and night, year after year, century after century. As we approach, we can see the glow of the sacred fire through the temple's columns. It burns in a bronze brazier in the center of the temple, never extinguished, always watched. Right now, as evening falls, one of the Vestals is probably inside, adding wood, ensuring the flame stays strong through the night. The house of the Vestals adjoins the temple, a beautiful courtyard complex where these priestesses live in comfort and honor. We can see into the courtyard, where a long pool reflects the darkening sky. Around the pool stand statues of the chief Vestals throughout history, honored for their service. In the twilight, with oil lamps beginning to glow in the windows, the house of the Vestals looks serene, almost magical. We sit for a moment on the steps of the Basilica Julia, a massive building that houses law courts by day. The steps are still slightly warm from the day's sun. From here, we have a perfect view of the entire forum. Temples and basilicas, columns and arches, all beginning to emerge from the twilight as the individual lamps and torches are lit throughout the space. The sound of the city is changing. The daytime noise, the shouts of merchants, the clatter of carts, the general hubbub of urban life has faded. Now we hear different sounds, the soft murmur of the few remaining citizens talking quietly, the distant call of someone's voice echoing off stone walls, the flutter of pigeons settling into their nightly roosts, high on the temple pediments, the gentle splash of water from the fountains that dot the forum, and beneath it all, a profound quiet, the kind of quiet that only comes in the presence of great age, great history. These stones have witnessed everything, triumph and tragedy, joy and sorrow, the full span of human experience, played out again and again across the centuries. A cool breeze flows through the forum, carrying with it the scent of jasmine from some hidden garden. The breeze makes the oil lamps flicker, sending waves of light and shadow across the marble and stone. The stars are more visible now. The sky overhead is a deep indigo, almost purple, and stars are appearing by the dozens, by the hundreds. The Romans knew these stars well. They navigated by them, planned their agricultural year by them. saw in their patterns the shapes of gods and heroes. We rise from the steps, feeling peaceful, centered. The Forum has worked its ancient magic on us. In this place, our modern concerns feel small, temporary. What matters is what has always mattered: beauty, connection, the passage of time, the endurance of human creativity and ambition. But our evening in ancient Rome has only begun. We make our way toward the exit, toward our next destination, a building that represents perhaps the finest achievement of Roman architecture, a building that has stood for 1,800 years and will likely stand for 1,800 more. The Pantheon. We walk through the streets of ancient Rome, away from the Forum, toward the Campus Martius, the Field of Mars. The streets are narrow, winding, lined with multi-story apartment buildings called insulae. Light spills from windows and doorways, along with sounds. Families sharing evening meals, laughter, the strains of a flute, someone singing. The streets are paved with large blocks of basalt, worn smooth by countless feet and cartwheels. Our footsteps echo softly. Other people share the streets with us, citizens heading home for the night. And then, ahead of us, we see it. The Pantheon. Even from a block away, even in the dim light of evening, it commands attention. The massive portico, with its 8 enormous Corinthian columns across the front, rises like a temple from the ancient world, which, of course, it is. But there's something different about the Pantheon, something that sets it apart from every other temple in Rome. We cross the open plaza in front of the building. The plaza is nearly empty now, just a few people crossing, heading toward various destinations. Our footsteps sound loud in the quiet evening, echoing off the Pantheon's facade. We climb the steps, wide, shallow steps that lead up to the portico. The columns loom above us, each one over 40 feet tall, made of Egyptian granite, holding up a triangular pediment that's inscribed with the words, Magripal Custurdum Vicit. Marcus Agrippa, son of Lucius, consul for the 3rd time, built this. Actually, the building we're standing before was built by Emperor Hadrian about 100 years after Agrippa. But Hadrian, in a gesture of modesty rare among emperors, kept Agrippa's original inscription, honoring the man who first built a temple on this spot. Between the massive columns, we can see the bronze doors, enormous doors, original to the building, which have swung open and closed on their hinges for nearly 2,000 years. Right now, at this evening hour, they stand open, welcoming visitors. We step through the doors, entering the Pantheon, and the world transforms. We emerge from the narrow entrance into a space that defies description, a space that has moved countless people to tears, that has inspired architects for centuries, that represents the absolute zenith of Roman architectural achievement. The interior of the Pantheon is a perfect sphere. If you were to imagine a giant ball the size of a house and slice it in half, the bottom half is exactly the interior space of the Pantheon. The diameter of the space is precisely equal to its height, 142 feet. Perfect proportions, perfect harmony. but it's what's above us that stops us in our tracks, that makes us forget to breathe. The dome. The coffered concrete dome that spans this impossible space with no support, no visible means of standing up, defying everything we think we know about how buildings should work. And at the very top, at the absolute apex of the dome, an opening, a perfect circle, 27 feet across, open to the sky, the oculus, the eye. Through that opening, we can see the night sky, stars, countless stars visible now as full darkness has fallen. They seem close enough to touch, framed by the perfect circle of the oculus, as if the Pantheon has captured a piece of the heavens and brought it down to earth. The interior of the building is lit by oil lamps placed in niches around the walls. Their flickering light plays across the coffered ceiling, creating a pattern of shifting shadows in the geometric indentations that cover the dome. But even more light comes from above, from the moonlight and starlight streaming through the oculus, creating a column of silvery illumination that moves slowly across the floor as the earth turns. We stand in the center of the space, directly beneath the oculus, looking up. The feeling is indescribable. We are inside a building, protected and sheltered, yet simultaneously open to the infinite sky, enclosed yet unlimited, small yet connected to vastness. The Pantheon was built as a temple to all the gods. That's what Pantheon means. Pan, all. Theos gods, a temple where every deity could be honored, where no god was excluded. The niches around a circular wall once held statues of the gods. Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Apollo, all the members of the Roman Pantheon. But tonight, with just a few other visitors present, the Pantheon feels less like a temple to specific gods and more like a temple to everything, to the sky, to geometry, to human ingenuity, to the mysterious connection between earth and heaven, between the finite and the infinite. We walk slowly around the circular interior, our footsteps echoing off the marble floor. The floor itself is remarkable. Geometric patterns created with different colored marbles, circles and squares and rectangles, all fitting together with mathematical precision. The dome above us appears to float, weightless, but it's not floating. It's an unbelievable feat of engineering. The Romans discovered concrete, not the concrete we use today, but a mixture of volcanic ash and lime that incredibly grows stronger over time, rather than weaker. They used this concrete to build the dome in progressively lighter layers, using pumice stone at the very top to reduce weight. The dome is over 4 feet thick at its base and thins to just a few inches at the oculus. And it stood here, holding up the sky for 1,800 years. We return to the center, to the spot directly beneath the oculus. We lie down on the cool marble floor. Yes, lie down on our backs, looking straight up through the oculus at the stars. Other visitors barely notice us. The Pantheon has this effect. People become contemplative here, quiet, respectful of others' experience. Lying here, looking up, we feel the rotation of the earth. The stars seem to be moving slowly across the circular frame of the oculus, though of course it's us who are moving, spinning through space on our earthly home. The moon drifts into view, brilliant and nearly full, For a moment, it's perfectly centered in the oculus, as if the entire Pantheon was designed for this exact moment, this perfect alignment. Moonlight floods the interior, bright enough to cast shadows, bright enough to see clearly. The coffered ceiling, with its 140 geometric indentations, seems to pulse with light and shadow. The marble columns around the walls gleam. The whole space feels alive, breathing, aware. We close our eyes for a moment, just feeling the coolness of the marble beneath us, the weight of our bodies held by the earth, the sense of space all around us, soaring upward, opening to infinity. When we open our eyes, the moon has moved on, crossing the frame of the oculus, and in its place, stars are visible again. So many stars, more stars than we can count. The ancients knew these stars by name, told stories about them, and found meaning in their patterns. The air in the Pantheon is cool, but not cold. It smells of marble and old stone, and the smoke from the oil lamps. There's a quality to the air here, a weight that comes from being inside a space this perfectly proportioned, this mathematically precise. We hear the soft sounds of other visitors, whispered conversations, footsteps, the occasional gasp of someone seeing the dome for the first time. And from outside, filtering through the oculus, we hear the distant sounds of Rome at night. Dogs barking, someone laughing, the rumble of a cart on stone streets. We could stay here for hours, days. The Pantheon has that effect. Time feels different here, less urgent, less linear, more circular, like the space itself. But eventually we rise. We have more of Rome to explore tonight, and our next destination promises different pleasures. The warmth of heated water, the relaxation of the body, the Roman ritual of evening bathing, the baths of Caracalla. We make our way south from the Pantheon, through Rome's streets toward the grand complex that rises near the ancient Appian Way. Even from a distance, we can see it. An enormous structure, its walls rising high, lit by the glow of countless torches and lamps. The baths of Caracalla, Thermae Antoninianae, one of the grandest bath complexes in all of Rome, capable of accommodating 8,000 bathers at once. And right now, at this evening hour, it's at its busiest. Romans have finished their work for the day. The afternoon siesta is over. The main meal of the day is still ahead. This is the time for bathing, for socializing, for the ritual that defines Roman culture more than almost anything else. We arrive at one of the 4 entrances. The building is massive, covering 27 acres, with a central bathing block alone stretching over 700 feet long. Walls rise 3 stories high, arched windows glowing with warm light from within. We pay a small admission fee. Then we pass through the entrance into a different world. The first thing that hits us is the warmth. After the cool evening air outside, the interior of the baths is deliciously warm, heated by the hypocauste system beneath the floors and inside the walls. The Romans have mastered this technology. A furnace heats air, which circulates through hollow spaces under the floors and behind the walls, warming the entire building evenly, gently. The second thing we notice is the sound. Voices echoing off the high vaulted ceilings, splashing water, laughter, conversation in Latin, in Greek, in a dozen other languages of the empire. The baths are a social space, a place where all classes of Rome mingle, where senators might find themselves in the same pool as laborers, where the usual barriers of society soften in the shared ritual of bathing. And the third thing, the sheer beauty of the space. Everywhere we look, there's art, massive columns made of colored marble, green from Greece, purple from Egypt, pink from Asia Minor, walls covered with intricate mosaics depicting gods and heroes, sea creatures and geometric patterns, floors made of marble and granite, laid in elaborate designs, statues and niches, bronze and marble figures of gods and athletes and emperors, and overhead, soaring vaults decorated with stucco reliefs, painted in blues and golds and crimsons. This is not just a place to bathe. This is a palace, a gift from the emperor to his people. We make our way to the apoditerium, the changing room. Here we remove our clothes, storing them in niches along the walls. Wearing just a light linen cloth, we join the flow of bathers moving through the complex. We begin, as many Romans do, in the Palaestra, the exercise courtyard. This is an open-air space within the bath complex, surrounded by porticos, where people engage in athletic activities. We see groups playing games, tossing a leather ball back and forth, wrestling on mats, lifting stone weights, practicing boxing moves. Exercise before bathing is part of the Roman ritual, working the muscles, working up a sweat, preparing the body for the cleansing and relaxation to come. We walk around the Palaestra, breathing the evening air, feeling our bodies wake up, become alive. After some minutes of gentle movement, walking, stretching, nothing too strenuous, we're ready for the baths themselves. We enter the tepidarium first, the warm room. This is a transition space, heated to a comfortable temperature, neither cool nor hot. The walls are marble, the floor warm beneath our bare feet. Large windows let in the last light of evening, and oil lamps add their glow. We sit on one of the curved marble benches that line the room, letting our body adjust to the warmth, letting the day's tensions begin to dissolve. Around us, other bathers are doing the same. Some are conversing quietly, others sit in silence, eyes closed, meditating, or simply resting. The tepidarium serves a practical purpose. It allows the body to warm gradually before entering the hot baths, but it also serves a social purpose. This is where Romans meet friends, conduct business, share gossip, exchange news. The baths are as much about community as they are about hygiene. After perhaps 15 minutes in the tepidarium, when we feel thoroughly warm, we move on to the caldarium, the hot room. The heat hits us immediately as we enter. The caldarium is intensely hot as a sauna, the air thick and steamy. The room is circular, topped with a massive dome, not as large as the Pantheon, but still impressive, with windows in the dome, allowing steam to escape. In the center of the room is a circular pool of hot water, perhaps 20 feet across. The water is heated by the hypocaust system, kept at a temperature just this side of uncomfortable. Steam rises from the surface in clouds. We descend the steps into the pool slowly, letting our body adjust. The heat is shocking at first, then becomes deeply pleasurable. We submerge our neck, letting the hot water envelop us, penetrate our muscles, draw out tension we didn't even know we were carrying. Around us, other bathers float, lean against the edge of the pool, talk quietly. The light in the caldarium is dim, diffused through steam, giving everything a dreamlike quality. We can see other bathers as indistinct shapes, hear voices without always seeing who's speaking. We close our eyes, just feeling. The heat, the water, the sweat began to bead on our forehead. This is purification, Roman style. Not spiritual purification exactly, though there's an element of that. Physical purification. The heat opens pores, drawing out impurities, loosening stiff joints and tired muscles. Time becomes fluid in the caldarium. We might be here for 10 minutes or 30. It's hard to tell. Eventually, the heat becomes too much. We pull ourselves from the pool, skin flushed and pink, and sit on one of the marble benches to cool slightly. Then, we move to the frigidarium, the cold room. The temperature shock is intentional, from the heat of the caldarium to the cool of the frigidarium in just moments. The cold room is a large, open space, its vaulted ceiling soaring high overhead. In the center is a large pool of cold water, fed by an aqueduct, constantly refreshed. We take a breath and plunge in. The cold is intense, breathtaking, but after the heat of the caldarium, it's utterly invigorating. We swim a few strokes, submerge completely, and pull ourselves out, gasping and laughing. This contrast bathing, hot then cold, is the heart of the Roman bathing ritual. It's believed to be healthy, to strengthen the body, to improve circulation and vigor. Whether or not the ancient medical theories are correct, there's no denying how good it feels. We dry ourselves with linen towels provided by bath attendants, then wrap ourselves in our light cloak. We're clean, refreshed, energized, and relaxed simultaneously. But the evening at the baths isn't over. The complex has so much more to offer. We wander into one of the libraries. Yes, libraries. The baths of Caracalla have two, one Greek and one Latin, stocked with scrolls that bathers can read while relaxing. We don't read tonight, but we appreciate the quiet, book-lined space. We visit one of the gardens within the complex, an open courtyard planted with roses and jasmine, with fountains and statues, places to sit and talk or simply contemplate. We hear music coming from somewhere, a performance in one of the small theaters within the complex. Someone is playing the lyre and singing. The song is beautiful, melancholic, about love lost and found again. We pass food vendors selling snacks, nuts and dates, bread and cheese, cups of wine. We bought some dates, sweet and sticky, and a cup of Molsum, wine mixed with honey, traditional and delicious. We're not alone in lingering. Many Romans spend hours at the baths, making an evening of it, moving from hot to cold and back again, exercising, socializing, eating, reading, simply being present in this magnificent public space. Eventually, though, it's time to move on. We retrieve our clothes, dress, leave the baths feeling like a new person, clean, relaxed, content. The night is now fully arrived. Stars fill the sky overhead. The air is cool and fresh after the warmth of the baths, and our next destination awaits. The monument that more than any other represents Rome, ancient and modern, the Colosseum. We walk through the streets of nighttime Rome toward the valley between the Palatine, Esquiline, and Caelian hills. As we approach, we begin to see it, rising above the surrounding buildings, silhouetted against the star-filled sky. The Colosseum, the Flavian amphitheater, the largest amphitheater ever built, capable of seating 50,000 spectators, a monument to Roman engineering and to Rome's love of spectacle. By day, the Colosseum hosts gladiatorial combat, wild animal hunts, elaborate staged battles, even mock naval engagements with the arena flooded. The crowds roar, the sand soaks up sweat, the Roman appetite for entertainment is fed. But now, at night, the Colosseum is empty, silent. The gates are closed. No guards stand watch. There's nothing inside to guard, but the building itself remains accessible. Romans can walk around its exterior, can admire its facade, can sit on its steps, and under moonlight, the Colosseum is transformed. It becomes not a venue for violence, but a monument to human ambition, a meditation on scale, a reminder that Rome built things meant to last forever. We approach from the west, where the Meta Sudan's fountain stands, a conical fountain that provides water for the neighborhood. The splash and trickle of water accompanies us as we draw closer to the massive structure. The Colosseum is built with 3 levels of arches, each level in a different architectural order. The ground level uses sturdy Doric columns. The second level, more elegant Ionic columns. The third level, ornate Corinthian columns. And above all 3 levels, a 4th story rises, a solid wall with rectangular windows, topped with supports for the massive awning system that could be deployed to shade spectators from the sun. The building is faced with travertine limestone, quarried from Tivoli, 20 miles away. In the moonlight, this limestone glows, seeming almost luminous, as if the stone itself is a source of light. We walk around the exterior, moving slowly, taking in the full perimeter of the elliptical structure. It measures 615 feet long and 510 feet wide. The exterior wall stands 157 feet high. The numbers are impressive, but they don't really capture the experience of being in its presence, of feeling how it dominates the space, how it was designed to inspire awe. The arches. There are 80 of them at ground level, numbered with Roman numerals carved into the stone. These were the entrances, the vomitoria, through which spectators would flow in and out. The system was so efficient that the entire Colosseum could be emptied in just 15 minutes. We pass through one of the open arches, entering the corridor that runs around the interior at ground level. It's dark here, shadowy, but enough moonlight filters in that we can see the barrel-vaulted ceiling overhead, the passages leading deeper into the structure. We can't access the interior proper, the arena level and the seating, but we can look into the space from here, from this perimeter corridor, and what we see is magnificent. The interior opens before us, a vast oval space, the arena floor far below where we stand, the tiers of seating rising above us. In the moonlight, we can see the structure of the seating, the way it's divided into sections for different classes of society. But now, all the seats are empty. The arena floor usually covered with sand, is partially revealed, showing the wooden substructure beneath. And below that, we can just make out the passages of the hypogeum, the underground area where gladiators and animals waited, where the complex machinery of trapdoors and lifting platforms was operated. The moonlight streams down into the arena, creating a pool of silver light in the center, leaving the perimeter in deep shadow. The effect is ethereal, otherworldly. This space, which by day rings with shouts and screams, is now filled with profound silence. We find a place to sit on one of the lower steps of the perimeter corridor and simply gaze out at the empty arena. But it's also impossible not to feel the incredible achievement this building represents. The engineering that allows such a massive structure to stand. The organization is required to manage events with 50,000 spectators. The vision of the emperors who built it. Vespasian who began construction. Titus who completed it. Domitian who added the underground hypogeum. The Colosseum is a paradox. It represents both the best and worst of Rome. The incredible technical skill and the moral blindness. The ability to build for eternity and the willingness to use that eternity to celebrate tradition. But tonight, empty and peaceful under the moon and stars, it's easier to focus on the architecture, the ambition, the sheer audacity of building something this grand. We sit quietly, listening to the night. The Colosseum is never truly silent. We hear the soft sound of wind moving through the arches, whistling gently, like breath. We hear the scurry of small animals, cats and rodents, that make their homes in the structure. We hear very faintly the sounds of the city beyond, distant voices, dogs barking, the clop of horses' hooves on stone streets, and overhead, the stars wheel slowly across the sky, the same stars that shone on the opening games of this amphitheater, the same stars that will shine when the last stone finally crumbles, thousands of years from now. A cloud drifts across the moon, and for a moment the interior of the Colosseum is plunged into darkness. Then the cloud passes, and the moonlight returns, and the arena is illuminated once more. We rise eventually, feeling the weight of history, the presence of all those who have stood in this space over the centuries. We make our way back out through the arch, back to the exterior. As we circle around to the northern side of the Colosseum, we can see the city spread out beyond. The forums, the temples, the apartment buildings, all bathed in moonlight and dotted with the warm glow of oil lamps and torches. Rome, eternal Rome. 2,000 years old, and still vital, still growing, still the center of the world. But our night is not yet over. We have one more hill to climb, one more secret of nighttime Rome to discover. Palatine Hill, the Imperial palaces, the gardens where emperors walked. We climb Palatine Hill from its northern slope, ascending the ancient pathway that leads from the Roman Forum to the summit. The path is steep but well maintained, paved with stones that catch the moonlight. Palatine Hill, the most prestigious address in Rome. This is where, according to legend, Romulus founded the city, where the she-wolf suckled the twins in a cave on the hillside. And for the past century and more, this is where emperors have built their palaces, enormous complexes that cover the entire hilltop, looking down on the forums and the city below. As we climb, the sounds of the city grow fainter. Up here, above the dense streets, the air is clearer, fresher. We can smell the pines and cypresses that grow on the hill, the roses and jasmine planted in the Imperial gardens. We reach the summit and find ourselves at the entrance to one of the palace complexes, the Domus Augustana, the private residence of the emperor. Enormous buildings surround vast courtyards, peristyles lined with columns, gardens filled with exotic plants brought from across the empire. Security is tighter here than at the public monuments. This is, after all, where the emperor lives. But the gardens are accessible. They were designed to be a gift, a place of beauty for those with permission to walk here. We enter one of the garden courtyards, and the transformation is immediate. We're surrounded by greenery, by flowers, by the calculated wildness of a carefully designed landscape that's meant to appear natural. The garden is laid out in the Roman style. Geometric beds divided by gravel paths, fountains at intersections, statues positioned to be discovered as you turn corners. But the plantings soften the geometry, overflow the boundaries, create a sense of lush abundance. This is not the only garden on Palatine Hill. The entire area is threaded with green spaces, courtyards, rooftop gardens, the elaborate hippodrome garden that stretches along the eastern edge of the hill. But this courtyard garden is perhaps the most intimate, the most peaceful. We walk slowly along a gravel path, our footsteps crunching softly. To our left and right, flower beds overflow with roses. So many roses, white roses that glow in the moonlight, red roses that appear almost black, pink roses that seem to capture and hold the light. The Romans love roses. They use them in cooking, in medicine, in religious ceremonies. They wear garlands of roses at banquets. They scatter rose petals on the floors of their homes. The scent is everywhere in Rome, especially here in these imperial gardens, where roses are cultivated in varieties from across the empire. We pass a fountain, a simple basin with water flowing from a bronze spout shaped like a dolphin's head. The sound of water is deeply soothing, musical, covering any remnants of city noise. We stop, cup our hands, and drink. The water is cool and clean, piped here from the aqueducts that supply Rome. Beyond the fountain, the path opens into a small plaza, paved with colored marble in a geometric pattern. In the center stands a statue, not of a god or emperor, but of a garden deity. Flora, perhaps, goddess of flowers, or Pomona, goddess of fruit. The statue is marble, weathered slightly by time, and in the moonlight it seems to float, hovering between solid and spectral. We sit on the base of the statue, looking back the way we came, and beyond, out over Rome. From here, high on Palatine Hill, the view is extraordinary. We can see the entire Roman Forum spread below us, its temples and columns reduced to elegant shapes, picked out by moonlight. We can see the Colosseum, massive and unmistakable even at this distance. We can see the Circus Maximus, the great chariot racing stadium, a long oval depression in the valley between Palatine and Aventine hills. And beyond all this, we can see the city itself spreading out in all directions. Rome has over 1 million people now, one of the largest cities that has ever existed. At night, it's a field of lights, oil lamps in windows, torches on street corners, braziers burning at intersections. The lights trace the pattern of streets, reveal the shapes of buildings, create a net of luminescence across the dark landscape. The sky above is spectacular, and with no modern light pollution, the stars are so numerous, so bright, that the Milky Way is clearly visible, that river of stars that the Romans call the Via Galactica. It arches across the sky, a band of light connecting horizon to horizon. We lie back on the cool marble of the plaza, looking straight up at the stars. In the ancient world, the stars are not distant objects of scientific curiosity. They are present, immediate, meaningful. They are the gods themselves, or at least the dwelling places of gods. They are the source of fate, the predictors of the future. A shooting star streaks across the sky, brilliant for an instant, then gone. The Romans would see this as an omen, a message from the gods. We see it as a moment of beauty, a reminder of the dynamic nature of the universe. The garden is quiet but not silent. We hear the wind moving through the cypress trees that line the garden's edge, a soft susurrus that sounds almost like voices. We hear night birds, owls calling to each other across the hill. We hear the continued splash and trickle of fountains scattered throughout the gardens. And we hear, very faintly, music. Somewhere in the palace complex, someone is playing the lyre. The sound drifts through the open windows, across the courtyards, reaches us here in this garden. It's a melancholic tune, beautiful and sad, the kind of music that suits this hour, this place. We could stay here all night. The garden invites lingering, invites contemplation. But there's one more place we want to visit before our night in ancient Rome concludes. A place that didn't exist yet in 125 AD, but will exist in the future. Built on a site that even now is significant. Through a trick of our storytelling, through the magic that allows us to travel through time, we're going to leap forward from the Rome of Hadrian to a Rome centuries in the future, to visit a fountain that has become perhaps the most beloved monument in the entire city, the Trevi Fountain. We step forward through time from the ancient Rome of 125 AD to a Rome much later, to the Rome of the 18th century, when Baroque architecture transforms the city with exuberance and joy. We arrive at the Trevi Fountain just as midnight approaches. The small piazza is quiet at this hour, empty except for a few late-night wanderers like ourselves. The fountain. Oh, the fountain. It's magnificent. A theatrical fantasy carved in travertine stone and marble set against the back wall of the Palazzo Poli, taking up the entire narrow end of the piazza. The central figure is Oceanus, god of the sea, standing in a giant shell chariot pulled by seahorses, one wild and one calm, guided by tritons. Around and below him, water cascades and flows, fills pools, creates an orchestra of sound. The fountain is illuminated by torches and, in this later Rome, by gas lamps that cast a warm, flickering glow across the carved stone. The light and shadow play across the sculptures, bringing them to life, making them seem almost to move. The name Trevi comes from Trevi, 3 roads. This spot, where 3 ancient roads meet, has always been significant, and in ancient times, this was the terminal of the Aqua Virgo, one of Rome's great aqueducts. The same aqueduct still feeds the fountain today, providing the thousands of gallons of water that flow continuously. We approach the fountain slowly, taking in the full scope of the composition. It's not just a fountain, it's a statement, a celebration of water, of abundance, of Rome's mastery over nature. The figures are larger than life, dramatic, caught in moments of action. Oceanus stands powerful and serene. The seahorses rear and plunge. The tritons blow their conch shells. In niches to either side, allegorical figures represent health and abundance. And the water is everywhere. It flows from multiple spouts, falls in sheets and cascades, and fills the large basin at ground level with a pool of water that, even at night, is crystal clear. We sit on the edge of the basin, on the travertine ledge that surrounds it. The stone is cool beneath us. We can feel the slight spray from the fountain, a mist that catches the light, creating tiny rainbows even at this midnight hour. The sound of the water is all-encompassing. It fills the piazza, creates a wall of sound that blocks out everything else. We could be anywhere, when. The fountain creates its own world. We take a coin from our pocket, a tradition that'll persist for centuries. We turn our back to the fountain, close our eyes, and toss the coin over our left shoulder into the water. The legend says that throwing a coin into the Trevi fountain ensures you will return to Rome. 1 coin for return, 2 coins for finding love, 3 coins for marriage. The fountain collects thousands of coins every day, hundreds of thousands every year, millions over the decades. All those wishes, all those hopes, all those connections to this city. Our coin splashes into the water, sinks to join the others that line the basin floor, and we feel, irrationally but powerfully, that we will return, that Rome will call us back, that this is not our last visit to the eternal city. We remain by the fountain for long minutes, maybe an hour. Time feels suspended here, irrelevant. The water continues its eternal flow. The statues stand unchanging. The stone glows in the lamplight. A few other people come and go. A couple, arm in arm, stopping to admire and toss their coins. An old man, alone, sitting on the opposite side of the basin, seemingly lost in memory. A stray cat picking its way along the edge of the fountain, stopping to lap at the water. The moon is low now, approaching the horizon. The stars are beginning to fade as the very first hint of dawn touches the eastern sky. Our night in Rome, ancient and not so ancient, is drawing to its natural close. But we're not sad. How could we be? We've walked through 2,000 years of history. We've stood in the Forum and the Pantheon, bathed in Caracalla's grand thermae, circled the Colosseum, wandered Palatine Hill's gardens, and made our wish at the Trevi fountain. We've experienced Rome, not as tourists, but as travelers through time, as participants in the eternal rhythm of the city. A rhythm that continues today, that will continue tomorrow, that connects past and present and future in an unbroken chain. The water continues to flow. The stars continue to wheel. Rome, eternal Rome, continues its endless story, and we are ready to rest. And so our journey through the nighttime secrets of ancient Rome comes to its peaceful end. We've walked streets that have been walked for millennia. We've touched stones carved 2,000 years ago. We've stood in buildings that have outlasted empires, that have witnessed the full span of human history, from their construction to this present moment. We've learned that Rome is not just one city, but many cities, layered atop each other, each generation adding to the story, each century leaving its mark. The Rome of the emperors and the Rome of the Renaissance and the Rome of today. All the same city, all connected by these stones, these streets, these eternal monuments. But more than that, we've experienced something deeper. We've felt the peace that comes from connecting with history, from understanding that we're part of something larger than ourselves, part of a story that began long before we were born and will continue long after we're gone. The worries of today, the anxieties of tomorrow, they feel smaller now, more manageable, when placed against the backdrop of 2,000 years. What seems so important, so urgent, is revealed as temporary, as just one more moment in the endless flow of time. That's liberating. It frees us to be present, to be grateful, to be at peace with the brief moment that is our life. As you lie here now, in your own bed, in your own time, carry this Roman peace with you. Feel the support of the bed beneath you, as solid and reliable as Roman concrete. Feel the weight of your body, held by the earth, just as those ancient stones are held. Let the sound of the Trevi fountain's water play in your mind, that endless flow, that constant music. Let it wash away tension, anxiety, and the accumulated stress of the day. Imagine the stars above the Pantheon's oculus, visible through that perfect circle, countless points of light in the infinite darkness. Those stars are above you now, whether you can see them or not. You're always under the same sky, connected to everyone who has ever lived, who will ever live, by this simple shared experience of being human, of being alive, of looking up at stars. Your breath has become slow and deep. Your body has become heavy and still. Your mind has become quiet and clear. You've walked far tonight, to the Forum, to the Pantheon, to the baths, around the Colosseum, up Palatine Hill, to the Trevi fountain. But now there's nowhere else to go. No more to see. No more to do. Just rest. Just peace. Just the gentle drift into sleep. The fountains of Rome continue to flow. The stones of Rome continue to stand. The stars continue to wheel overhead. And you can simply let go now. Let's go to sleep. Into dreams. Into the peaceful dark where the body restores itself and the mind processes and sorts and prepares for tomorrow. Rome will be there when you return. The stones will wait. The history will endure. But right now, at this moment, there is only rest, only peace, only sleep. Good night from ancient Rome, Dear traveler, sleep well.